Hi, this is Tim Bost with FinancialCyclesWeekly.com. I wanted to take just a couple of quick minutes with you today to share some information updating you on the stock market vortex and what's happening in the markets as a result of these remarkable astrological events that have been occurring. You know, we have been seeing a lot of trading action going on and some very big opportunities to the downside, some very successful trading opportunities on the short side in the markets at this particular time. And so we wanted to apprise you of the progress of the stock market vortex because we're in the middle of it right now. You know, this is the series of astrological events that began in late May, continues through the first part of June, and will continue to see the impact for quite some time to come. But we identified this vortex early on this year. We had our special webinar at the time approaching it on May 14th, and we wanted to review some of that information today and give you a look at what you can expect coming up. Now, with the stock market vortex, the important thing to remember is it's not over yet. Even though we've seen many of the astrological configurations already take place, we'll continue to see the impact, and we have other astrological factors coming up during the next couple of months that are likely to accelerate this move and give us more strong trading opportunities. Now, when we reviewed this on the 14th of May in our special webinar, we noted that we would expect extreme volatility in the markets in late May and early June, with an overall bias to the downside, a bearish bias with stock prices generally heading lower. Of course, not all trading days are negative ones, but that's what we're looking for as a general tenor to the market, creating some very strong opportunities on the short side for investors and traders who are willing to take short side positions. Now, this, we have to caution you, is a very treacherous trading environment. Trading is difficult. It's very, very high risk. It's not for the faint of heart, and you have to have deep pockets to trade effectively in this market. But if you have the risk tolerance and the capital, we encourage you to take a look at the short side right now. As always, there's a need for careful money management. Our aim, of course, as always, is to preserve the trading capital. So calculate your own risk tolerance very, very carefully at this time. This is not for everyone. But if you choose to get involved in this market, especially on the short side, we have opportunities for you to recognize patterns amid the market chaos that's occurring right now, and especially informative are all the astrological dynamics. If you bring astro trading to bear in this market environment, you have an advantage that others simply lack, and it gives you big profitable opportunities. So let's take a look at what's been going on in the markets. One of the ways that we measure volatility, and we said we were expecting big volatility for the market vortex, is through the volatility index, the VIX. And of course, with this, we've had a particular set of patterns that we've analyzed from an astrological perspective. We've found that the VIX responds and coordinates particularly well with the planet Mercury and the trans-Neptunian factor Poseidon. Mercury is represented by the wavy lines here for the price points corresponding to Mercury, Poseidon with the horizontal purple lines in this chart. And when these two planets come together in the sky, it creates pressure points for the VIX. We noted here that on the 24th of May, just as we were beginning the most intense part of the vortex period, there was an opposition between Mercury and Poseidon. They were 180 degrees apart, and this created a turning point for the volatility index atop near the meeting of these two planetary bodies. But the thing to be aware of here, of course, is that we saw an enormous spike in market volatility just as we were anticipating toward the latter part of May as we moved into the most intense part of the market vortex. Now, in the markets themselves, when we look at prices, we note here that there has been a downside bias as we have moved into the market vortex. We've seen a little bit of congestion in recent trading as we've gotten into the vortex. There's been a bit of hesitation here. We are not seeing a confirmed bottom at this point. However, the Dow has been down 3.4% since our webinar on May 14th, and the Nasdaq has also come down. We've seen a little bit of a rebound in the Nasdaq, but it's still off by almost 2% from its levels on May 14th. And of course, during our May 14th webinar, we identified a number of specific trading opportunities that we saw as the stocks that would be most likely to be impacted by the market vortex. And in looking at at those, we have seen consistently a move to the downside, short side trading opportunities in every single one of these stocks. Let's take a look at Walmart, for example. Prior to the market vortex, what characterized much of the trading from Walmart, especially in the latter part of 2009, the first part of 2010, was a congested trading range. There was about $1.25 move in price for Walmart, and it was fluctuating in that trading range. It broke out above that trading range earlier this year, returned to it just prior to the market vortex, and then in the vortex period itself, as this began, there was a big acceleration in volatility for Walmart, a move of 6.9% to the downside, creating an enormous short side trading opportunity as we moved through the beginnings of the market vortex. The same thing with JP Morgan, but to a lesser degree. JP Morgan Chase down 2% during the beginnings of the market vortex. United Technologies also down, in this case 5.2% during the corresponding period. Procter & Gamble also took a move to the downside, a little more than 2% during the beginnings of the vortex period. DuPont down 5% as well, another short side trading opportunity as the vortex began. Pfizer down 6%, and Chevron down 5% as well during the vortex period. Coca-Cola down 6.1%, and since that point it has rebounded sharply, but there was a big downside move and a short trading opportunity for Coke during this time frame as well. Johnson & Johnson down 6.6%, another of those stocks that we identified ahead of time on May 14th. Boeing down 7.9%, and Alcoa down 8% during this vortex period. These are significant moves and very, very tradable opportunities. So, as we move through the stock market vortex, we expect these conditions to continue over the next few weeks and to a certain extent to be carried forward into the months to come as we meet additional trigger points that rekindle the energy of the stock market vortex. We can expect extreme volatility. I'm looking for a continuation of a bearish bias in the markets, and we will continue to see short side trading opportunities, but it will remain a very, very risky trading environment. And again, we caution you to take appropriate precautions and to structure the size of your positions accordingly if you're going to be involved in this market environment. But because this is continuing, then there's more to come with the market vortex. What we've decided to do is schedule another webinar to examine this in greater depth. Encourage you to join us on Friday, June 11th for a special webinar on more storm warnings from the stock market vortex. We'll be starting at 4:15 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That's 15 minutes after the closing bell for the New York markets. You can register for the webinar right now by going to tinyurl.com/vortexwebinar2. This is a free webinar. We're not charging for this because it's very, very important that we get this information out and that you get the right information about trading this market safely and profitably at this time. But we do encourage you to register immediately for this because there is limited seating, and we've already had a number of people moving in already to gobble up the seats as they become available. So we do have some slots open at this point. Again, it is http://tinyurl.com/vortexwebinar2. And if you register now, we would hope to see you then on the 11th of June for our seminar, our special online webinar for more storm warnings from the stock market vortex. We'll see you next Friday for the Stock Market Vortex webinar on June 11th.